welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. Am I loud enough? I don't know. Cam Gorby, when Candy sends this to you, I'll let you be the judge if I'm loud enough. But we got one of your people out here. His name is Chris T. Jones, and he's going to go out there and look like a T-bone tonight because he's going to cut it up and eat up this format, and he's got to make sure he's very full of it. So he wants to keep going back on. How about that, Christy? Is that a good introduction for you or what?
Man, that was a great one, man. I appreciate all the love, and I appreciate being part of this group tonight.
From one you to another, yes.
Hey, no doubt. Hey, we ain't gonna say nothing about that gator over there to the right.
He's taking rival.
That already.
It's the orange and blue versus the orange and green tonight. But hey, man, we teammates tonight. But as we get closer to week 3 or something like that, I'm gonna be like Chris, man. I'm trying my best to keep it in the center of the road. But we'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens.
I hope to have you on more often, but we're definitely going to have you guys on before that game for sure.
Yeah, right.
And I feel the rivalry between you guys, just like in my house. It's a house divided during NFL games when it's Detroit Lions against the Green Bay Packers. So I feel ya. I gotcha.
Right. And meanwhile, somehow, some way in the middle of Florida and Miami, we have a guy by the name of Darwin Kelly. Welcome to the big show, Darwin.
Great to be on. Looking forward to the conversation tonight.
Yeah, you're going to have an interesting time being the Kelly in the middle of the Jonesy and the troop. Look at this guy. He's all decked out there. I'm going to make this so fun that you're going to want to watch it over and over and over. I'll make Energizer bunnies on every one of you. And maybe when it's all said and done, I'll even do an alarm code. Get up, everybody, and listen to this show. And I'll tell you, if that isn't a good way to get you up out of bed, then I don't know what it is. We'll have to figure it out. But Chris T. Jones, Darwin Kelly, Mad Troop, Candy Ebling, and yes, Steve Reichel, the designated co-host on the show. Philly, Freedom, whatever. It is what it is. And yes, yours truly, the Motor City Madmouth. Couldn't get it off to a louder start than that, but don't worry. I only get louder as the night goes on. But why are we titling the show, Will the Real Cam Ward Please Stand Up? Is this a hockey show or is this a football show? Don't worry, people. Okay. The only thing you need to know about it is that Cam Ward is a goaltender for the Carolina Hurricanes. And we know about the other Cam Ward, who was the former quarterback and an all-time record quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes / now Tennessee Titans. And he's out there and set a lot of records, and he even gets his buddy Xavier Restrepo up there with him. My goodness, you couldn't even have a much better combination relocated there. And the way I can tell you right now is the goaltender is a standout goaltender, and his team actually closed out the New Jersey Devils 4-1 in their opening round series. But get this. Here we are talking about Cam Ward of the Carolina Hurricanes, and who's between the pipes for the Carolina Hurricanes? A guy by the name of Frederick Anderson. Go figure. Only on the frozen pond. We can't get a Cam Ward on tonight when we're talking about the football player. Oh, well, hockey is hockey. It is what it is. All right, Candy, what do you want to say?
Nothing. I'm good. All
right, so that's your hockey. I don't expect anybody on this crew to know anything. The only thing I'll say is the only thing Stephen A. Smith knows about hockey is the puck is black. My goodness, that's the most intelligent thing I've ever heard from Stephen A. Smith. And I say that because it's true. I've only heard it about the time. But this is a football show. We know that thing called a pigskin, and a lot of people are definitely quite familiar with it one way or another, whether you're holding it on the gridiron or whether you're talking about it like all of us. All right, with that said, okay, let's talk about the first regular season game in Dublin, Ireland. Pittsburgh Steelers will be the designated team. Steve, we've talked about these international topics before. What are your thoughts about Ireland getting the game?
I love it. Listen, Ireland's a proud country, man. They do things in a big way. So, Pittsburgh being a part of it, that should be definitely fun getting that fan base over there in Ireland. Interesting to see, who they matched them up there against. If I'm the NFL and I'm a betting man, I'm gonna say the Baltimore Ravens would probably be the ideal matchup you want to have over there, just in my opinion.
What do you think, Mr. Jones?
Ooh, that's gonna be that'd be a hell of a matchup. But I know that at least least we know there'll be some drinking promoting over there. We don't have to worry about that. There won't be no problem with that. They drinking the terrible towels. They twirling them towels over there. So, but I think that would be great for the NFL. I really think so. That I see that they're trying to really pull out that international now, and it's kind of great for the fans that they can see that they can bring that all together. Say, hey, they do it in soccer, the other type of football. So I'm seeing that. That's one thing that you can say about the NFL. That brand is really growing deep, and they really just trying to brand it all over. I can't imagine when I was that we'll be taking that trip over there. Then the thing is, what season is that game? What do they say? What week it'll be?
I don't think they've announced the weekend. I just think
we'll know that pretty soon.
Ben will tell you, that'd be tough during the middle of a season, especially if you're in the hunt and you're trying to get back and you're trying to get into a playoff, and then I got to take my team way to Ireland. That can be a toll on the team.
I'm sure it can. What are your thoughts, Darla?
I think it's great for the brand of the NFL, just like Chris was saying. I know they've been doing the games in London, Germany. I think they also got to have a game in Spain too. So I think it's great for the brand to be able to continue to get that international exposure. I think the most important thing is, like, for the players' sake, is just making sure that, like, the field conditions are suitable. Because I know last season when the Eagles played Green Bay in Brazil, I think that was I know Jordan Love got hurt. I think he had like a knee injury toward the end of the game, and a lot of times, like, since those international fields aren't used to being played on as much, there can be issues, and you don't want that to happen to your, guys at all.
What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I agree. I think when you talk about the international game and what the NFL is doing, obviously, you got guys like Mr. Khan down there in Jacksonville who would love for his team to be an international team. It's the way to grow the game. And obviously, the NFL has already dominated the United States by being the number one love sport in America. When you go overseas, it's how you continue to show why certain teams are loved. And I get it. The quarterbacks are the reason why we watch in the National Football League in America. Overseas, it's the colors, it's the teams, it's the tradition. So I agree with Chris, though. I mean, that on the way back, the only person sober on the flight is the pilot. Ain't nobody else gonna be sober. That's a long flight just to get there and back. And I do agree. When you do these games, not that you do them, it's gonna have a big bearing on it, because while the players don't have a choice in doing it, if you are in the hunt and you got to go in the middle of the season, they're gonna look at it pre international game and post international game. But hey, man, that's what goes on. And with teams like Pittsburgh, it doesn't get much bigger than that. I'm just gonna be counting the terrible towers because, I mean, ain't no more. We far removed from the Ben Roethlisberger days. Now we got to see who the quarterback gonna be. Forget Pittsburgh. Is it gonna be Aaron Rodgers? They waiting on him. But right now it's up in the air. But I do think the way that the NFL has grown the game is, one of the best I've ever seen.
All right, I'm gonna let Candy go ahead with it.
So so they're playing the 2025 NFL Dublin game will take place at Croke Park. Do you know that an NFL game was played at that same park before? And it also included the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it was a preseason matchup back in 1997 against the Chicago Bears. Now, why are the Steelers over there? Did you know the Pittsburgh Steelers will play as the designated team for the historic first game? Steelers president Art Rooney II and his family have a rich history and deep connection with the island of Ireland, having family from New Rye country down. The late Dan M. Rooney, Art Rooney's father, served as U.S. ambassador to Ireland from 2009 to 2012 and was the co-founder of the Ireland Funds charity. I think it's great we all know that the NFL, out of all the major sports, the NFL is the one that's growing the fastest. And why are they growing the fastest? Because they're expanding. They're taking what we would say is a risk, but really for them, it's not a risk. They're growing their brand internationally in all these different countries so that they get fans from all over the globe. They're smart, and this is a business, and they're growing their business. So kudos to them.
Let's go to the chat room. Then we'll turn it over to Steve. Ralph Williams, I get the NFL is trying to expand an international market where travel is tough and other logistical problems too, but they're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep making a lot of money. And with all due respect, we'll be talking about the fact that I know that there'll be a lot more international games down the road, but glad that we had him chime in. All right, Steven.
Wait, can I say one last thing before
Sure,
Steve
go
goes?
ahead.
When you're talking about the travel is tough, let's face it, we just had the Big Ten expanded from East Coast to West Coast.
True.
Their travel is terrible. Last year's Stanley Cup, Florida Panthers against Edmonton.
True.
I mean, like, travel is there, and that's part of what they sign up for when you sign up to be in a professional athlete in a professional sports.
Great
Okay.
points. No, that's a good point.
Like I was gonna get ready to basically say, like, listen, people sitting there saying the international travel market, it's tough, logistical. It doesn't matter if it's week 1 or week 18. These guys are paid millions of dollars, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars. It doesn't matter if we're talking the players, the NFL, whatever. This is what you sign up for. This is why you're a professional athlete.
Right.
Do we sit there say anything to boxers and combat sports athletes when they have to travel all over the world? No, they know what they signed up for. They're there to compete. So it should like the only thing we should really be talking about is field conditions. That's the only thing that we should be talking about. That that everyone is playing on a level field, a good field of a field where what I don't want to see moving forward is the soccer pitches. It's a totally different grass. We've seen injuries already. That's the only gripe I would give a NFL player at this point in time. The travel is whatever. It's not like these guys are paying for it. It's not like we're 50, 60 years ago where you didn't know what travel was going to be like. So we did buses back in the day and things like that stuff. Then we would have to worry about. But nowadays, like it's a $1 billion company. So the fact that the travel is tough, the logistics. No, it's not. Is it not is it not the norm? Sure, but to sit there and say that it's tough, that it's a problem, no. It's a chance for the brand to continue to grow, and two teams to grow their fan bases and connect with fans from all over the world. The NFL's been doing a great job of it. Like I said, hopefully they find ways when they go into these places where they're not competing on soccer pitches. The only gripe that I would sit there and say that an NFL fan should have.
All right, the only thing I'm going to say about the topic is I'm going to go back to what Ben said, because Ben nailed it, but I'm going to do it in a very different, candid way. Number one, I realize that the Roonies have a deep connection to the Ireland area, but I'm going to go out there and go back and show my age a little bit about the quarterback situation for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's go back to Abbott Costello. Who's on first? What's on second? And all that. Abbott Costello. I missed watching Abbott Costello in black and white on Sundays, watching these guys go ballistic at each other. That's what you have with the quarterback situation, people. It really is. And as the Aaron Rodgers turns, we'll see where that soap opera goes. Let's, you have one life to live, Aaron. We'll see if you're going to be living it next in Pittsburgh/Dublin.
We'll see about that, right?
So we'll leave it on that note. Abbott Costello, everybody. I'm sure that we could probably find it on one of those channels. Which ones do we watch, Candy? What are the old time stations that we have that you put on?
WeTV, MeTV,
WeTV. Iron. Look at that. I bet you'll find a cotton pick at Abbott Costello someplace. All right. Do you? Hey, Chris, you ever heard of Abbott Costello?
Of course. You're talking about Albert and Costello.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
All right. I gotta ask.
I'm old enough for that.
Well, all right. Just gotta make sure.
I got you, buddy. Come on, Scott.
Don't worry, because you know what? We're gonna have a good time. We talk about it in person. I'm telling you. Everybody, and by the way, everybody that comes on these shows does get an acknowledgement in my book, Lessons from the Microphone. And now you just added yourself to the list, Chris T. Jones, as one of those people that landed in the next book. My University of Miami brother, Greg Stark, Chris, is the new guy on the block. Darwin Kelly might even get a place in there. All right. With that said, done. Let's go ahead and continue the theme a little bit, Miami, and then we're also going to have Chris. You're going to have a standalone topic. I'm going to have you talk about the Miami draft as well in a little bit, okay? Because obviously there was a little bit of activity there. I actually wrote about their pro day and their spring game as well. That will be released in the South Florida Tribune probably tonight or tomorrow. But Quinn Ewers in January turned on an $8 million NIL transfer offer and decided to enter the 2025 draft. He'll get paid $800,000 to play for the Miami Dolphins, who, if I'm going to make the quick opinion, then turn around. This may be one of the Miami Dolphins' smartest picks in ages. It really is. You talk about a sleeper pick here. It's not like that quarterback's all that stable with Tua Tagovailoa, who ends up in General Hospital, and Zach Wilson is living days of our life because you don't know where he's going next. But maybe Zach Wilson needs a little bit of a geography lesson. You know, you're playing in Hard Rock Stadium, not FAU Stadium, where you killed Central Florida. But with that said, we'll start off with you, Chris. What are your thoughts about the pick of Quinn Ewers?
Hey, I think, like you said, it's a great pick for he's in a great situation playing behind Tua. But the thing is, what hurts what hurt him was, come on, the man has hurt that young man, that he had to really leave school because of that young boy that was behind him when he got hurt. And then what kills it, that it wasn't really no schools that the man he really played his bike up. He came in on the teams that he played that did well. The teams was what? They was what? They were low in they weren't even Division I schools, were they? I don't think so. They weren't that much of a talent. And then you think about it, you was the #1 recruit in 2022, 3 years removed from school, 3 years removed from high school. And you had a chance. To be honest, I was fired agent. This is agent named Ron Slavin. You had a chance to go get some money in the NIL and make you some serious and really work on your craft, and that you had the opportunity. And I don't see what made you want to come out, to be honest, because you didn't have a real full great year of school. Because you seen how they was putting Manning in and out, trying to push him along, and then you see that a lot of schools wanted him from an NIL deal. He lost millions, and then you want to go to the big boys, and you had to know. So you had whoever told you that, but guess what? Now it's over and done with. Now it's time to pick up your pieces, lace up your cleats, and go down there in Miami and show what you really able to do. Because right now you're in a great situation. Because you got Tua, you don't know. At any time, Tua can go down, but the thing is, you just got to get there and get in that playbook, put your head down, because that's over with. In his head, he need to understand you can't go back to school. It's over with now. It's time to pick up the pieces and move forward. But it's a great pick for Miami, and I love the pick for them.
That's a good point with him being in and out of the lineup with Arch Manning looking over his shoulders. Chris, I'm 100% in agreement with you. All right, we'll turn over to Darwin.
Yeah, so I'm a approach it from the NIL angle, and certainly if a school reportedly offered him $8 million, and essentially he missed out on losing $7.2 million by not choosing to go back to college and play for his last season, and that's hard to come around. Like, that's a hard loss to say for players going forward. I say that to say, like, I see a trend going forward of players choosing to stay in college longer, especially in situations like this. Like, granted, he is in a great situation going to the Dolphins and being behind Tua. But just losing out on that money, I think that's a tough situation to be in. I also saw a post on social media that the NBA has the least amount of players that filed for their upcoming draft in the last 10 years,
Really?
which also speaks to the NIL aspect of the money seems to be better there. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out going forward.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up. I never thought about that. See, I know that one of your expertise is, by the way, Darwin. For those of you that don't know Darwin Kelly, he's active on LinkedIn and talks about NIL all the time. And I learned something on his page every single time. For those of you that have LinkedIn, look at Darwin Kelly's stuff. I had him on the Motor City Madmouth show talking about NIL. That's why I wanted to bring him on here on tonight's show, because I knew we had a lot of good NIL topics. I didn't think there was a better person out there that was more equipped to do it than Darwin Kelly, which is why I brought him on the show. Great stuff, Darwin. Okay, Ben, you're welcome.
I mean, the thing about the Quinn Ewers situation, I mean, there's always going to be a head scratcher because, the first thing you hear about it, I mean, Quinn Ewers, he skipped his senior year of high school to go to Ohio State. He never played because he got the money, and he ends up at Texas. Texas was in the semifinals 2 years in a row. I mean, we act like Quinn Ewers was a very, very good quarterback. I just don't understand why he fell where he fell, but I do agree with Chris. Tua is a situation where people are not saying if but when. When he gets hurt again, somebody got to be able to fill in that can keep the train on the track. And I think Quinn Ewers might be the guy. Because like I said, I'm not saying Quinn Ewers was projected to be the number 1 overall pick. I didn't see him being the 7th round. But the NFL is not about the team. It's about the fit. And I think it fits what Quinn Ewers does skill set wise. Look, you can't find a way to throw the ball to Jonnu Smith, Jalen Waddle, and freaking Tyreek Hill. You in the wrong business. So I think for a guy like Quinn Ewers, yeah, he's going to a hot weather city. He's going to a place where Mike McDaniel's going to have a very sophisticated offense. But if he can keep his head down, like Chris said, and go out there and play football, who knows? Because sometimes, Brock Purdy is the best example I have. As far as going to the right fit. He goes Mr. Irrelevant. Now he's spending time for $60 million whenever he does resign. So I'm happy for Quinn Ewers, man, because I don't know how much money you got to be making in college to walk away from $8 million. I do not know how much money you got to be making, because he made money from Ohio State. He made money for 2 years at Texas. So whatever he's making this year is going to be a pay cut in Miami. But walking away from let me tell you something. Let me say this to Quinn Ewers. When he's listening, if you walked away from $8 million, young man, I want a life like that. I want a life to where somebody can offer me 8 and I go, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go to the draft. Hey, man, so he must be doing something right, man. But, hey, the one thing he don't got to worry about, he might not be making as much. He ain't going to make as much as Cam Ward, because Cam Ward is in a state that doesn't have state tax. Neither does Florida. So I don't know if that's going to help him with his checks. But walking away from $8 million, hey, man, either he was sick and tired of college football and wanted to move on, or he's made so much money to where he's not going to miss it. Either way, he's a Miami Dolphin, and I'm wishing that man nothing but the best with mini camps and training camps rapidly approaching.
Well said. All right, you'll turn it over to Steven.
I mean, everyone's talking about like how much money he's missing out. Like, listen, if and when Tua winds up missing some games, hopefully it's not anything serious or anything like that. He's just getting nicked up like most players tend to do, especially at the quarterback position. Like, he has an opportunity to within 2 to 3 years to go have a new contract deal done, regardless if he's missing out on $8 million this year. At some point in time, the bottom tier quarterbacks are getting 40, 50, $60 million now. So like, what are we talking about? We're splitting hairs. He knows that at some point in time he's going to get his shot. So at some point in time, he's going to find a way to recoup that. He's now officially a professional athlete, so he can have sponsorship deals and things of that nature. So we don't really know what he's actually losing out on. And as Ben was already spoken to, he has had 3 different 3 years of being in the NIL where he's already made money. And as Dwayne was talking about, like, listen, we're we're in a different age where a lot of these guys are going to be staying longer. Are we going to nitpick every year where a junior goes earlier because he wants to get his shot in the NFL instead of seeing what NIL is going to be doing? Right. I don't think that we're going to be doing that for however many years. With football, with basketball, etc. It's something I don't think we should kind of get in the habit of, because listen, these guys are professionals now. They have the opportunity to be making millions. Yes, initially they're going to be getting hurt. They're going to be getting hurt financially wise, but you've already been getting paid over the last X amount of years as being a collegiate athlete, where most of these guys who guys like Chris, I'm sure he would have loved to have a chance at NIL when he was in school, right?
Man,
y'all would be getting paid down there in Miami, right?
Man, they'd have had to pull me out of Miami.
That's what I'm talking about. Exactly what
they had to pull me out. I'm sorry.
Now
the NFL can wait.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. Like, you're gonna have it where these guys are be better off, and the guys that you're gonna be getting that's gonna be professional athletes are guys who truly love the game. It's not gonna be about where's my bag, where's this check, they're already going to have it to the point where you don't have to sit there and worry about, like, is that what this guy's ulterior motive is? Is that what drives this guy? I mean, listen, every man's going to be different. We all got different wants and needs and things of that nature, but I don't think we should be sitting counting anyone's pennies that or dollars that they're missing out of their wallet. Let's see what this kid can do. As we're already talking, he's going to have opportunities down there in Miami. Let's see what he does with it. He has to, as we've already said, get in your playbook, figure out the scheme, and do what you've done best over the last 4 to 8 years.
Go turn with Candy. Everybody doing a great job. I'll tell you, I'll have a voice by the end of this show.
So I'm thankful because I actually have something that I can contribute that none of you guys have talked about, and we're all talking about the same thing. Let's face it. What was his dream? His dream is to probably play in the NFL. So how he gets there as quickly as possible, he's afforded much different benefits and packages now that he's no longer in college. So he gets insurance, he gets all kinds of other things. Yes, his base salary is going to be lower. I get that. But now he has no restrictions on what kind of endorsements he can have or what commercials he can do. The other thing none of you touched on is maybe he didn't want to. There's two things. One, this quarterback draft class everybody has said wasn't as deep, didn't have as many. They're thinking there's going to be more better quarterbacks next draft class. So does he want to wait a year and be in that draft class? Two, I'm going to put out a name to you guys. Jordan Travis got hurt on the last game he played for Florida State. Never played in the NFL, was drafted, but never played because he's injured. Maybe he doesn't want to become the next Jordan Travis.
I'm sure Jordan Travis had some Lloyds in London. That's why he ain't probably attempt to play no more.
The Lloyds of London. Well, if we're gonna go back there, let's talk about a Miami situation where, what was it, Frank Gore had
some type of insurance that covered that injury. Trust me.
Let me tell you, everybody thought that Frank Gore was done, but he had shattered both knees, went on to have a pretty good career.
You know, when we was playing in school, we did have that insurance in college, especially that when the way he was looking, he was going to be a high pick. And that's probably what the stipulations were. If he played so many games, probably in the NFL, or even in they count the preseason games when you have an insurance. That could have been nullified. And that's probably why he probably didn't keep going. Jordan, the Travis kid.
Interesting points all the way around. Good. The only thing I'm going to say about this is, number one, not all your quarterbacks in the first round pan out. All you have to do is look at other rounds like Drew Brees. How did it work out in the second round? What about Joe Montana? I thought he was pretty good. So what about Tom Brady? So the reality of the situation is
that's what kills him when a lot of the commentators says this. When they said, yes, a lot of those guys they are rare. They prove themselves in the league. These guys that they trying to compare, yes, you went fourth, you went fifth, you went sixth. Right. Them guys prove themselves like being a Ted. They prove themselves in that man's league. You can't, as a commentator, you can't be like, well, son, well, you went like Tom Brady 6th round and this and that. You're not a Tom Brady, brother. That's rare. I don't like when people be using those comparisons, because when you get your own individual, when you step your foot on that in that league, nobody cares about what you did in college or whatever. These are grown men with families. Okay. I remember my first time I stepped myself in the locker room. They're like, this ain't no college atmosphere, buddy. This is a job.
All right, so let me ask you a question, Chris. I'm going to put you on the spot now that you brought that up. Okay, ready? Yeah, how old do you think I am?
Oh, shoot, you about what? I say about 58.
Man, you're a good man. You gave me 4 years younger than my body indicates. It's 62 going on 100. I'll tell you, I covered the Dolphins back in the 80s, and I'll never forget a guy by the name of Jim Jensen. Was drafted in the 11th round.
Big Jim.
Right. So here, get this. They drafted the quarterback in the 8th round, cut him. Jensen makes the team. So you know how that worked out? The guy played special teams and was an emergency quarterback. So it doesn't matter where you find your hidden gems. And if you're a quarterback right now and you're Quinn Ewers, you land in the best possible situation you can land because you're on house money anyways. And again, they're talking about the losses, and Candy mentions the insurance. So I'm with you all the way. Nobody wants to compare themselves to Tom Brady or not. But ever heard of the word hidden gems? They don't all come in the first round. If you think that Ryan Bust, I want to say Ryan Leaf. Of course, I didn't have my Wheaties with that comment, but whatever. Ryan Leaf is a Ryan Bust. I'm sure we would. So in reality, the situation is this, Chris. You're 100% right. Nobody wants to think I was in the 6th round. I'm a Tom Brady. I got to be myself. But you do find a lot of great players, obviously, in the later rounds. And
even undrafted guys, we got undrafted Hall of Famers.
Those players are like the Tom Brady. Imagine if he didn't get hurt, we probably wouldn't have seen Tom.
Oh, no question. And there you go. You just validated my point even further. Great stuff. Great first act, Chris. I'm telling you, I can't wait to see you at Hard Rock. All right, great stuff. A lot more topics to get to, Darwin. So the next time you ask me how long the show is, you ask how fun it is, you're going to have your answer because this crew is loaded with characters. All right, and I hope I'm not going to keep you up too late, Chris, because we're just getting warmed up here. We have a lot of good. All right, my man.
As a hurricane, I got to outdo a gator. We got the gator. See that gator over there look well rested. You see him over there taking his notes. That boy, they're good.
No, I'm not. Listen. No, I ain't taking no notes. I ain't taking no notes.
SATs. I'm studying for SAT testing next time. But we gonna have this right. Trust me.
All right. Hey, listen, I got some Gator information. I'm going to go out there and add a little fuel to what you guys are doing later. I was digging it up while my guys were having a blast. All right, well, let's go to the Detroit Lions, a team I grew up with anyways, and helped me get to Super Bowls because I had some good contacts to do it. But the Lions did trade up in the 3rd round and selected Arkansas wide receiver Isaac Tosla with the 70th pick overall in the NFL draft. They traded up with Jacksonville to do it. He's a Michigan native and also played at Hillsdale. Can you imagine what it's like when this guy fits in with the likes of Amon St. Brown, Ron St. Brown? You also have Tim Patrick in there. You got Sam Laporta, Jamison Williams. What do you think, Chris? This is going to be a pretty interesting group, isn't it?
Oh, that's a great group, man. That's all he got to do is just come in, dig into that playbook and see where he can fit in. Because you got to remember, they already established. They knocking on the Super Bowl door, and you just got to come in, get your lunch pail, go in and learn that playbook and see where it fit at. But you can go in. You need to go in with that hard work ethic because you got to understand they drafted you for a reason. They like what they see, and they want you to be able to push the ones that you coming in to compete against. Because I'm being straight, because that's a pretty high pick, and they seeing some qualities in that guy that show that, hey, we can see you where they need a big body. Because you see they got the flyers on the outside. They want him to be able to work that middle with the other good tight end they have there.
So anybody that thinks Brad Holmes and the Lions got an F for the draft doesn't know anything about the NFL draft. Brad Holmes is a genius. I've seen some of these people, Lions got an F grade for this. Give me a break. Go, but so when I see some of that stuff, Chris, it makes me gag. And I'll tell you another story when I was in college, and I'm not afraid to admit this because I was an awful cook. Once upon a time I made a grilled cheese sandwich in a microwave that lasted 4 minutes. And I can tell you right now, I could have thrown that grilled cheese sandwich into a triple pane window. And if you need a tool, you need a hammer. All I had to do was put a piece of wood under that and take it called the grilled cheese hammer and could have caved somebody else's skull. Am I afraid to admit it? No, I was the best cook on the planet, but I was awful in college. Just thought I'd throw that out there. So the reality is that anybody dumb enough to go out there to think that this guy gets an F in the draft, I'll be more than happy to show you how to make a 4-minute grilled cheese sandwich so you can knock the expensive to that end. All right there, Darwin Kelly. I don't think you'd come up with an analogy like that because you're a straight shooter. But what are your thoughts about what the Lions did with this kid?
I think it was a good pick, especially just like Chris said, it certainly was a high pick, grabbing him in the 3rd round and trading up for him too. So being 6'4", I watched this highlight tape. Seemed to have great hands. Could be the deep ball guy. So the offense is already loaded. So I think it'll be a great addition for sure.
What about you, Ben?
I mean, you can never have enough weapons. I mean, Chris, these guys are hitting on the head. I think what the thing about the National Football League is I always want to make sure that my twos are on the drop off from my ones. You know what you're going to get with the starting guys, but everybody needs a breather. So when they do, whether it's injury or just the nature of the beast, I want to make sure that we don't miss a beat. I mean, the guy that's going to make it all go, it's Jared Goff. People don't talk about how great he's been since he's been in Detroit. I mean, played Matthew Stafford twice, beat him twice. And I just think that it's crazy, even though I got to agree with Chris, they are knocking on the Super Bowl door. Never been there, but I think that a good teams get great when they add pieces and those pieces fit. And yeah, I just think for this Detroit team, yes, I see what Chicago did and what they've done for Caleb Williams. Yes, Jordan Love got to stay healthy. We're going to see how Minnesota's going to look when Sam Darnold's not going to be there. Detroit is saying, look, man, we don't care who you are. If you in the North, you got to deal with us. And I just think that right now, with what Detroit is doing, that whole team, Dan Campbell, they had a Dan Campbell lookalike contest. You got to be popular as hell to have a bunch of men in Detroit that say, hey, man, I'm going to go out here and Dan Campbell. And they look like him. The guy that won if he got to have a freaking stunt double, he looked just like him. But, yeah, I like what Detroit is doing, and they're doing it the right way. The best front office in football is in Philadelphia. But Detroit, even though they ain't won no Super Bowl yet, they ain't far from it because they stacking chips, man. That's how you get better. So, yeah, I like the pick. I like where they got him at. And hopefully he can blend into an offense that's not missing anything, but it can definitely add. Hopefully he can be an addition.
Great stuff. All right, I'm going to go to Candy on this ahead of Steve because, after all, she knows all too well about the Lions, and lately it's been for all the wrong reasons. Sorry, Candy.
Thanks. That's okay. You can do that. It's all good. We're both NFC North division rivals. That's, I will say this. In the 3rd round, the Detroit Lions general manager, Brad Holmes, made a big move, shelling out future draft capital to leap from 102 to 70 in the trade. Raised a lot of eyebrows. He was asked this week which of the 7 draft picks was his favorite. I do love all of them. I'll give you this, though. The pick that was probably the most questioned, I would say, was Isaac Tesla. I can say that he was my favorite wide receiver in this draft. I'm not saying he was the best wide receiver in the draft, but favorite wide receiver in the draft, yes. A lot of people have questioned him. During day two of the draft on Friday, Holmes and the rest of the Lions draft room wore black sweatshirts with the letters HWS crossed out. The initials stood for height, weight, and speed. Crossing them out, the GM said over the weekend, was a nod to the Lions' mantra, that game film should trump physical attributes and stats any day of the week. What the Lions have done have found pieces that fit in their family, in their tight-knit family, that gel and work together. They work together as a team. Let's face it, you have two running backs. Most teams don't have two running backs that they're not selfish. They don't want it. They want what's best for both. Your guys want to play for Dan Campbell. Kneecap biting. I mean, whatever it is, but these guys are fighting. These guys are playing hard for their coach. They're a team that gels together, and that makes a big difference. Big difference.
Well, it's worth noting there have been a couple interesting Miami Hurricanes that have done well with the Detroit Lions. One of my favorites was Brett Perriman. Oh, I used to love Brett Perriman. We used to have some of the best interviews all the time in the Lions line. He was a favorite. I used to always talk to Brett all the time. And Benny Blades was pretty good too. So I talk to Benny from time to time. I think that hits a bone with Kurtis. So, but yeah, more power to him. All right, well, I just thought I'd throw that in there. Okay, Steven, go ahead.
I mean, like, listen, it's when you trade up and grab a guy like that. I mean, as Candy was saying, he doesn't have bad measurables or anything like that. I think he ran like a 4.40. So it's like it's not like he's he had a terrible combine at that number. But one of the other things is like, listen, you already the Lions offense isn't like nothing to turn your nose down at. They're a playmaking offense. They can stretch the field, but where you having a guy like this, where if you can go in the red zone, go 5 wide, and just have Goff use him as a matchup disadvantage in the red zone and things of that nature. So there's plenty of ways that you can integrate this guy in and make matchup problems for, trying to have a linebacker cover this guy, have a jump ball, things of that nature. Like he's going to, with that pick, he's going to be a part of their offense this season. It's not like they're planning on for stuff down the road. And even as we were already talking about, like, when you got one of those, 9, 10, 12 play drives, your guys are going to need a breather. It's nice to have a guy like that, not only you feel can fit, but that can produce and make plays for you. So I think it's interesting. We'll see if it all plays out the way the Lions wanted to, but I think overall, I think they got their guy, and we'll see if he's going to be a high level guy and continue to produce in the way you'd want him to.
Well, keep one other thing in mind. They did exercise the 5th-year option on Jameson Williams. You know what's going to happen with him afterwards. So this might be a pick that's an insurance pick later on down the road. Greg Rice, good to see you for the first time, or I believe second. But I know you're checking in with YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. If you have, so thank you very much. And thank you very much, Kenny. Good to see you again as well, coming in from YouTube. We get everybody from all over the place. It's great stuff to see. All right, we're going to talk a little bit of Gators first.
Make one more comment on this topic.
Yeah.
The other thing is we need to look at it from the other standpoint. Who did they get the pick from? The Jacksonville Jaguars, who traded up to get the number 2 pick to get Travis Hunter. So maybe they wanted to get some draft capital back. So you got to look at both sides of that as well.
Well, no, that's a good point. Obviously, Brad Holmes didn't mind and bringing Travis Hunter in, a weapon for Trevor Lawrence. So there's always a domino effect the way the NFL works anyway. So, hey, Brad Holmes, when he made the Stafford trade, it was just unbelievable to begin with the haul he got. We'll get into that tonight because we have a lot of other things to get to, but it's worth noting. All right, I'll have one more thing I want to get to. Then I'm going to have Chris talk about the Miami Hurricanes. Okay, we got Eddie Prather. Great stuff, man. Hey, I'm going to tell you something, Chris. This is a popular show. A lot of people going to get to know you. Now we're getting our regulars here. Eddie Prather is in here. Oh, you get ready. He's going to challenge you there, Chris. I'm telling you, this guy's unbelievable. So at pick number 197 in the 6th round, the Texans selected Florida Gators, Wisconsin Badgers quarterback Graham Mertz. This is going to be another sleeper pick somewhere along the line. I don't know why. But before I go ahead and talk about that trade, about that pick, I do want to mention something to fuel this thing that we have here between you and Ben. Okay, I have to do it. And to be continued, later on. But Florida has reached new NIL agreements with 98% of the football team. Let me repeat this. Florida has reached new NIL agreements with 98% of the football team. Right now, we're in a position where we don't have to worry about the portal. If anything, we add a player or two, but we retain 98% of our team for Coach Napier. We know that Ben is smiling. And Chris, what are you thinking about that? And before I ask you to comment on that, what are your thoughts about the Mertz pick for Houston?
Who you, Ben or me or Ben going first?
Well, I'll let you go first here. Okay, if you want to. First of all, give me your thoughts about the Mertz pick. This is an interesting pick for the Texans. He's a backup anyways.
Yeah, that's. Hey, this thing is, hey, backups. They just as important. Like Ben was saying earlier, baby, you got to remember the league. The league at any moment you can get an injury, and you got to be able to step up and you got to be able to perform. Because you got to understand, there's a lot of people, jobs on the lines, families on the line. It's a lot of these things, and you got to be prepared at all times. And that's one thing I be trying to tell the young players when I go by even at University of Miami. I let them know, because all of them they walking with some of them got NFL cards and they ain't even done nothing yet. Right. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, what have you done? You got this luxury pad on South Beach. What you living on South Beach for? And you raiding? we working in Coral Gables. You know, it's just sad the way that this thing's coming, and the guys that you think about it, and I'm scared if they don't straighten up, Ben, I'm scared that it's gonna be a fall over in the NFL with these kids, because they getting so much money now. They really think they're in the league already, especially in college. Okay,
now your thoughts about the 98%. Oh, it's a two-part question.
See, that's another thing. I want people to come down to Coral Gables, down south, that want to come. It shouldn't be about all this NIL money. We had 7 draft picks, 1 first rounder, 1 second rounder, 3 fifth rounders, a 6th rounder, 7th rounder, and we do all this fighting over this NIL money. No, that's when the way Green Tree used to be. We used to get $52 a weekend. That was our NIL money that we got for a weekend. And we wanted to save up for the month. If we couldn't even take $52, we couldn't even take a girl out. That's all we had to do, go take them to Swenson's. It was across the street on US 1. We had to share a banana split, and we might can get some fries with it. But guess what? We worked hard without these NIL deals. That's what I'm telling them. We gave Georgia quarterback. I don't want to say if somebody sucked or anything. He didn't perform. He left from performing in Georgia to come to Miami. Why did you let that come? If you're leaving Georgia to come to Miami, that means you don't like to compete. In my book, if I was a coach, you don't want to compete. You chasing money, brother. And now you down there getting Ferrari stolen. You got a girlfriend you're getting caught cheating on. And they stole money in a Benz. You got a Ferrari and a Mercedes Benz in college. You living in Coconut Grove. That way Brian Blaze and all the boys were. That way the Heat players stay. I don't understand. The way college football is, the way that we go down there watching them practice and this and that. And then I have a problem. We be telling Mario, we have a problem with them practicing in air conditioning. We used to practicing outside. I'm like, I don't get it no more. I just don't get it. You know, I guess that's why I'm not into coaching. I'd have been fired. I've been on the news. I'd have been on strength with one of these kids. It's just not tough no more. It's not. You know, they're prima donnas, man. And now I'm lost for words, to be honest with you. Everybody just compete for NIL deals. It's like you going in a household now that it's like coach or the mother asking, what can you do for my son? What happened with, well, you getting an education. You're getting an education. You're getting fed good. If you good, you're going to get all the perks. I get it. the NIL, but they need to put some stipulations on that. Tell me this: if I was an owner, if I want to do an NIL deal for the Hurricane players, I'm a big booster. I'm signing you up just like they do in the league. If you ain't performing, I need my money. I need to get some of my money back there. I need to get some of my money back. If you want these big NIL deals, it should be stipulations about what if you don't perform to your standards.
Well, I know one thing.
They're working.
I hope the network executives are looking at you, man. You could put a lot of people out of work with your commentary, and I swear. And you're making a lot of people look bad.
It's mind-boggling. It is.
I agree.
I tell you, it's no more hunger. It's not the hunger no more. They not hungry. You know, we didn't care about no money. Man, we used to waste sweats all time. That was it. You know, we didn't worry about all that. We used to borrow one of our boys' car. I remember getting a car that it didn't have no power steering. If you was working out with one of your teammate cars when you borrowed it. Now you're riding a Ferrari and all of that. I know me, if I was during this era, and I know I'm in recovery now, I can't imagine how it would have been for me. I'm being honest, because that's the way them temptations is down south, and you doing it, and the way that money is coming down that way. I know I wouldn't have been going to class. It'd have been, come on, man. Well, you making more than coaches, assistant coaches. You my coach. I got a $4 million NIL deal, and you coming at my head, embarrassing me in a meeting. I might snap and say, "Who the hell? What you gonna do? Ain't like you can cut me. You gotta play me, cause you know that booster don't gave me $4 million. You can't bench me."
That's funny.
He's preaching right now, man.
I'll tell you one thing. Hey, Kenny said that, Chris. I want you to be my lawyer.
That's my piece.
Well, I know that's unbelievable. I don't think I've ever had anybody top that one in all my years. And let me tell you something, Mr. Jones. I've been in this business 45 years, and that was one of the best rants I've ever seen. I can't wait to see you in person. I might even have to. I'll actually have to buy you a steak over at Black Rock Bar and Grill in Fort Lauderdale for that one. Fair enough. I guarantee we'll stuff you good so you can come up with more content like that. All right. Well, Ben, I hate to say this, my brother. I'll let you comment a little bit on Mertz and then think about, okay, the 98% that went in your favor on this, and then everybody else will just talk about Mertz because we have a lot more to get to. Because there's nobody going to top either of these two on the 98%. Unless Steve thinks he can try, but don't hold your breath, Steve. We got plenty. Go ahead, Ben. Where do you want to start? Start with Mertz because that'll be shorter, and then you can go ahead and take your 98% and do what you want with it.
I'm happy for Graham Mertz. I mean, I was happy at the fact that he was coming off an injury and he got drafted where he got drafted. I think he's in a position where he's going to be the back. He's competing for the backup role, but CJ Stroud is everybody knows he's a starter. So he's not going in for starting reps. And Houston seems to be the team to beat in the AFC South. I mean, Graham Mertz, as a guy that, came over to Florida, I was wondering, can he play? I see how Chris was just saying, Carson Beck leaves Georgia to go to Miami. This young man left Wisconsin to come to Florida, and dare I say, man, he superseded expectations. So I'm happy for him. DeMeco Ryans seems to be a coach that understands talent. CJ Stroud is obviously going to be that guy for the future, but ain't nothing wrong with making millions of dollars as a backup. Charlie Batch had a hell of a career in the NFL, and he was a backup about 16, 17 years of them. So Mrs. Batch was not mad that Charlie was only making $4 or $5 million for about 10 years. But I am happy for Graham Mertz, man. I think just like him and the Quinn Ewers, it's all about where you go, not that you go. And they both, and he landed in a really, really good spot. So I'm looking forward to seeing. Obviously, I understand his injury situation, so he got to come in with the trainers and get right. But he's gonna get a chance to go out there and compete for a starting spot. When I know what my role is before I get on the team, I can embrace it better. I don't got to come in thinking I'm competing. You're not competing for starting reps in Houston. Not at quarterback. They got their quarterback, but this 98% thing. Look, I will say this about NIL. I will say this, right? NIL is one of those things to where if it don't work for everybody, it don't work. Yes, I'm a former football player, right? But here's the thing, right? I get it that everybody's window when it come to football is very, very small. I get that everybody ain't gonna go to the National Football League. I get that most players ain't even gonna play in college. There are players who getting money, they're not even gonna play because Chris and anybody can tell you this. The hardest place to prove it in college is the practice field. You see some of the best talent in the world. I'm gonna keep saying this, and I hope you don't mind me saying it. Titus O'Neil, the wrestler's real name is Thaddeus Bullock. He went to Florida, and he looked like that when I first got to college. He used to walk around with, a Speedo on, showing off his abs and his arms. The problem is he ain't never played. I love Thad, but Thad knew I'm not going pro in anything. I'm going pro in something other than football. So just imagine if these 98%, most of these players ain't going to play. And I get it, everybody ain't getting the same dollar amount. But it is hard to listen to a coach that I make more money than. If I make more money than you, and you yelling at me talking about, hey, man, what you doing this play? At a certain point, I'm like, hey, coach, man, you need to tone that down. Like, who you think you talking to? Because we act like players aren't already entitled. Then you give them the money solidifies the entitlement. It's going to solidify it. It doesn't matter. Carson Beck is the greatest tale. Carson Beck got the same amount of money that the kid Nico from Tennessee wanted that went to UCF. He wanted Nico wanted $4 million or $5 million or whatever he wanted. That's what Carson Beck got. There ain't nobody on planet Earth that think Carson Beck is worth $4 million but Miami. And I'm not saying it's Miami's fault, but they gave it to him. And the thing is, his girlfriend is a TikToker or a YouTuber or whatever. Nowhere in the world. Listen, Carson Beck making more money in college than Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer won the Heisman. And Carson Beck gonna make $4 million. So Chris, he was nailing it because at the end of the day, Chris said, I'm gonna add to it. Players ain't hungry no more. We used to be starving. These players are barely hungry now. And I think the thing is, there is nothing wrong with getting your money. That's me and Chris are saying, ain't nothing wrong with getting your money. That can't be your end all be all. That can't be the reason why. Because like I said, if I'm in college, I want my money too. I want mine. Chris will want his. But at the same time, if I'm only getting money because of the times, not because of me, I could be getting money strictly because of who I am or where I go to school at. No, nothing more, nothing less. The most I know, listen, I can tell you who DJ Lagway is. I can tell you who Carson Beck is because one play for Miami, one play for Florida. I couldn't tell you who the Florida State quarterback is, or FAU, or FIU, or USF, or UCF. I don't even know who those quarterbacks are. And guess what? They're gonna get NIL money. Name and image likeness is tied to one thing: name and image leverage. If you have it, you're gonna use it. But a lot of these players ain't got no leverage. They just go to these schools. So, it's cool that my alma mater is giving out 98% NIL money. But guess what? The boosters gonna want? You know who gave out the most NIL money in 2024? Ohio State. They want it all. So when you put that kind of stuff out there, the boosters gonna say, okay, I want my forget NIL. I want my ROI, return on investment. I want it. And if they don't deliver it. Hey man, that's why I talk trash on these mics on these microphones and this is what I do now. I'm a media personality because I can sit back and talk trash. And Chris can agree with this. Listen, the older I get, the better I was, boy. The older I get, boy, I was the truth when I was out there. They had to pull me off the field because I can no longer go back out there. So every time I see kids younger than me, I said, boy, if I got to get up out this chair, I'm not gonna get up out the chair. But I'm gonna say, boy, if I got to raise up, I'm like a dollar bill off a Players Club. If I got to raise up, it's gonna be trouble. Walk it off.
As I reiterated, I guarantee I won't be losing my voice on the show. But you know what, Ben? You open up something interesting. I just want to mention this, and obviously, Chris, you touched on it too. My colleague Adam Lichtenstein and I were over at the spring game, and we were talking. You know who Adam is, don't you? Chris, I think, or he's been with me for the last few years. And he talked about Nico Liamaleva. Don't get me to pronounce that name anyways. He brought it up tomorrow. Chris will have the quote here. I listened to it myself. And also we have that transcript on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. But Mario said, we're not going to do it at Miami. If they want to play holdout, they might as well play get out. There you go. He's not putting up with that nonsense. Although, like you guys mentioned, he's got Beck. The other thing I'm going to say about Beck is that everything I've heard about him, he didn't suit up the day of the pro game. I just want to see if this guy's worth the $4 million that Chris has mentioned to begin with, instead of hearing all the stuff that we're talking about, the cars, his girlfriend, and whatnot. Right now, all we've heard about him is the extracurricular stuff. I want to see how good this player really is and see if he's going to be drafted in Pittsburgh. I get everything you're saying, but Mario Cristobal won't take any nonsense from any people like this. And I'll mention the quote again. We're not going to do it at Miami. If they want to play holdout, they might as well get out. There you go. All right. I know that these two guys dominated the conversation. Steve, you know what? I'll wait for you last because I know Darwin has done a great job listening, and I hope that we've equipped Darwin with a lot of stuff so he can absorb all this information and put it on his LinkedIn. What are your thoughts about not only Mertz, but all the other stuff that goes with it?
Is this for Steve or
no? We're letting you get a chance. And right now, Kenny says Carson Beck's the 8th ranked quarterback in 2026. So there you go, $4 million gets you the 8th ranked quarterback in 2026. Ha ha. Okay, go ahead, Darwin. And I know Chris is probably laughing deep down inside, right?
So I'll start with Graham. So don't want to talk bad about anybody. I'm not really high on Graham, but I think it's a blessing to get drafted. And he does have a great opportunity to compete for a backup role, and it'll be interesting to see like how he comes back from the ACL, and that'll be interesting. And then that's pretty much on Graham. What was the other topic?
Well, we're just talking about the 98% of the Gators pretty much. They don't need to mess around with the NIL. They got 98% of their team intact. The other 2% is just fill in the blanks.
Yeah. So like everybody has their own perspective about NIL, and I think right now, like you have to cater to the kids because the kids are the prospects. I'm not saying that it's right or is wrong, but that's just the day and age, and you got to adapt. But I do think that there needs to be like more stipulations, because I think athletes, as much as I love and I support athletes, I think like there has to be like a balance in that, because right now it's just too all over the place. And you know, like I think Chris and Ben were saying, like if I make more money than my coach, like my coach can only say but so much, especially if I'm a kid and it's my first time having money, having power. Like it's just not a good situation, especially from like, because most of these kids, like they don't really come from an abundance of like financial resources. So, you know, it's just like a learning curve. But I think over time, the NCAA and everything else to get where it needs to be.
Okay, Steven.
I mean, Mr. Mertz here, or Mertz rather. You know, Graham's not. He's not like your guy you're going to see at the top of everyone's draft boards, but he's not really that bad of a quarterback. You know, he does have some arm strength. He is a guy that can manipulate the defense. You know, give your chance for your guys to run their routes and things of that nature. But having a chance to kind of you know let his body heal from the injury, be behind somebody like a CJ Stroud down there in Houston. He's not again, we were talking about situations and things of that nature. You know, he's going to be vying for that backup quarterback position. So it's not the worst place in the world he could wind up. He has a possibility to, you know, help that team get ready for, you know, a potential deep playoff run, because you know, a lot of the Texans fans, I'm sure, felt like they should have played a few more games last season. They didn't get a chance to. They got knocked out, things of that nature. So we'll see what happens. You know, how they put it all together. But you know, I think he's an ideal opportunity to heal, learn, and make the best out of a situation. You never know where what you could wind up with, or if he winds up on another team, things of that nature, where just make sure that you're ready for this level. And as far as the other side of it, where the Gators keeping 91% of their guys, that we're talking NIL and things of that nature. Well, that's also making sure that these guys don't wind up hitting the transfer portal and asking for this and demanding that. So that just shows not just what Florida's what the Florida Gators are doing, but making sure you keep your culture intact. You're bringing the right guys in, not just guys who are out there chasing bags. And we've already talked about this. Like, I think between NIL and the transfer, you need to put guardrails on this thing so it's not getting out of control. You're not having and we're only talking about football. I still think basketball is just as bad, or if not worse. You have guys that are bouncing all over the place. I don't think there should be a rule that in a 4-year period of time you can't play on more than 2 teams. Right. That would probably end a whole lot of this conversation that we're having with it. Like any college player that is in the transfer portal more than 2 years is ineligible for NIL that last year. So something to that effect, to make sure these guys are there for an education, not just for a place to launch and grow their brand as a professional athlete.
All right, Candy will get the last word on it, but I want to preface something that Chris mentioned earlier, and that's just about the Miami Pro Day. There were 20 Miami Hurricanes, which is the most that they've had in either their history or a long time. And Brian Baldinger also told me when he was there that he was just glad that Mario Cristobal has been able to go ahead and restore this program to its respectability. He really has. So when you think about that, there were 20 prospects, and of course you alluded to the fact that there were 7 players drafted, 2 on the first. You have Arroyo and Ward, who I think is going to have a great career, and then 5 other ones drafted. That doesn't count the other undrafted guys that you have. So I think Jacoby George, I believe the wide receiver, went to Carolina. But when we come back, we're going to have Chris give us his thoughts about the Hurricanes in the draft as well. So think about that for a minute. Candy, you have the last word on this topic. Then we have a station break, a little deeper into this. But when you have a show like we have with Ben and Chris and Darwin absorbing, and I'm just a spectator, my voice is very good for this show because I have plenty of people picking up the slack. Stephen and Candy, it's good stuff. Candy, you got the last word. Then you go to a station break.
So Graham Mertz. So let's go back. He played for 2 different high schools. He was rated as a 4-star recruit by ESPN coming out of high school. He was rated as the best pocket passer in the class of 2019, the 21st highest rated recruit overall. He was rated the 3rd highest rated pro-style quarterback, the highest rated Kansas recruit, the 65th highest rated recruit overall. ESPN described Mertz as Wisconsin's most hyped quarterback since Russell Wilson. Now, I can tell you, his first year, he lost the job to Jack Cohn. He was injured 1 year. His record back in 2019 was 0-0. In 2020, he was 4-3. 2021 for Wisconsin, he was 9-4. That was one of the best years. 2022, he was 6-6. The big change that year was Paul Chryst was let go. Jim Leonard came in, was interim coach, and then he was not hired. Luke Fickell came in, and that's when Graham transferred down to Florida. Didn't want to play for Luke Fickell, which kind of surprises me because I think Luke Fickell had his quarterback that he was bringing with him, to be honest with you. And that's why Graham left. I do not think he's that great of a quarterback. Kudos to him for getting drafted. Hey, good job for him. He's gotten injured twice now. He had an injured ankle, and then he tore his ACL in Florida. Will he be a good quarterback in the NFL? I'd say he's going to be a good backup quarterback in the NFL. I don't see him progressing further than that, but that's just me from his early days that I watched because I was a faithful still a faithful Wisconsin watcher, so I watched a lot of his games. I miss the Barry Alvarez years, but anyways, we won't go to that. I'm just being honest. Luke Fickell the problem with Luke Fickell is I think he tried to change Wisconsin's identity, and Wisconsin's identity was strong running back, strong offensive lineman, not much of a quarterback passing was Wisconsin. I mean, yes, Russell Wilson went there for a year, but that wasn't their strong suit. And he's trying to switch because, let's face it, the NFL and football, the way that we're going, you were seeing wide receivers and quarterbacks and the passing game just evolved more and more over the last couple of years. So I think that's why Luke Fickell is doing that, but I don't think that's Wisconsin's bread and butter, and I don't think that's where they have their strong suits. As far as NIL, I have said for a long time, if you want to just be a feeder league into the NFL, why even go to college? Why even have this? Because if you're going to start, like you said, if you're going to start paying these players more than anybody on that staff, there's already a problem with the generation growing up now. They're not taught the same respect. They don't know how to interact with everybody as much. They've grown up with computers and phones, and they text. They don't know how to communicate with people. So I think there's a lack of respect from this generation, much less, oh, I'm making more money now, I'm entitled to be able to treat you differently because I'm making more than you are. I don't know where we've gone so sideways, but do I think that they should get paid money to play a sport that we love and watch? Yes, because their careers could be cut short. And they are doing something that I couldn't do. I couldn't, but I think it's gotten a little out of hand when you're having NIL quarterbacks at U of Miami, $4 million, making more than some of the people in the NFL. There's something wrong. You got to progress up the ladder, and I think we're forgetting why they're going to school, or maybe we're not, because maybe they don't care. They don't care if they get a degree. But the problem was, if they don't get a degree and maybe they have one big good contract, a lot of these kids don't know how to manage their finances. So if they get injured and they have just this one big contract, how long is that money going to last? Because do they know how to invest it? Do they know how to do something else because they didn't get the education that they really wanted to or needed to? So I think with NIL, there's a lot of unknowns yet out there and variables. I think they're getting too high. I think there's got to be some more. I don't know who's going to regulate them because the NCAA isn't doing it, but I think somehow they need to figure out a way of regulating it.
All right, we're not going to solve all that tonight, Candy. Go to a station break. I want to get to a few quick topics, and we have one big one to end it. So hang in there with us. Quick station break, and when we come back, Chris is going to talk about the Canes and their draft. All right, Chris? So be ready to go. Thank you.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about the media industry and how it has evolved over his 40-plus years. There's a picture of him with a young Muhammad Ali. So if you want to see that picture, buy the book. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there's a plethora of great content. Go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise, call Scott, 954-304-4941. If you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to you, Scott.
All right. Well, got a few. Steve and I touched on a couple topics last night. So what we might do, Steve, is with the two that we talked about, I want to give these other people a chance, and then what we'll do is maybe touch them up a little bit as well. And so here's what we'll proceed. First of all, Chris, give me your thoughts about what the Hurricanes did. You alluded to it a little bit earlier. Are you happy with were the Miami Hurricanes. We talked about 7 guys, but give me your overall perspective of the 2025 draft. We know one thing: Cam Ward did not like it in Green Bay and couldn't get out of there quick enough after he was looking forward to going. But I guess when you consider where he's from, 50-degree weather is too cold for him. It really won't make any difference. But all right, Chris, the floor is yours on the Miami Hurricanes.
Well, congratulations to all the guys that did get drafted, even the ones who was free agents, unrestricted free agents that got still signed to a team so they can have an opportunity. Like you said, Mario, he is getting – Miami is on the up. They seem like they're moving the needle not faster than – as a former player, not faster than we would like to see from a lot of the former players. But, he has cleaned it up. And this guy, Cam Ward, I have nothing but great things to say about him. He's one of those humble kids. What I love about him, I call him a humble. He's one of them kids that's humble but got that dog in him. Meaning that he's contagious, meaning that he's a great leader. I can see that when he comes on the practice field or even around in the locker room, that he demands excellence from the players. And I tell you, Tennessee got a great player, man. They got a great player. I'm sure he gonna win that locker room over because he does put in the work. He's not one of them prima donnas. And what I love about him, he's not flashy. He loves the game. He loves playing. I'm shocked. He probably sleeps with a football. He probably do. Because how much he loves the game, man. And it's not gonna be contagious. And I love that big kid from that Seattle guy to the tight end. He gonna do
Elijah Royal.
I love him. He gonna be a stud. He gonna be a problem. He gonna be a matchup nightmare because he's a big kid that can run. And and then you see the ones that's in the 5th round. They're gonna have some trouble making the team. I can see some of them having some problems making the team, but they got, like I say, if you would, like the NFL tell you, you need to come there with your head down with your lunch pail. And the ones that get in our playbook, the ones that learn our playbook the most, that's one thing that a lot of these guys that come into this league and being can testify to this, that a lot of them come in and waiting on that signing bonus, trying to get to know that city, and then instead of getting to stand in our hotel room or stand wherever to learn that damn playbook. That playbook that's the biggest thing for you to learn. That was the hardest thing for me that I can use for myself when I first came in, because I'm trying to hang out, trying to do what's going on with the city. If I want a high draft pick, I know I'd have been cut. You know what I mean? I was a 3rd rounder. I knew it that I would have been cut if I didn't, because it took me a while to learn the playbook because I wasn't disciplined enough to learn the playbook. And I learned that when I learned the playbook probably about week 12, week 14. That was at the end of the season. I knew the playbook. The following year, that's when my natural ability took over. So that's one thing I be telling the young bucks, hey, man, get in that playbook and dissect it, man, and get in that film room. Be a locker room rat. Being around, man, I'm telling you, that's the only way, especially if you're a low draft pick. And then the way these draft picks now, high draft picks getting cut within 2 or 3 years. So if you're in producing right now, they ain't even picking up the 5th-year option. So that's one thing that I'm seeing. Ohio State had 14 picks. Georgia had 13 picks. Texas has 12. Oregon had 10. Miami still got to pick it up. It's Florida, man. Florida, University of Florida, Florida State, and Miami. We got to get back to the grind because we used to run the draft. Them 3 schools right there, Florida, Florida State, and Miami. We ain't used to seeing no Ohio State and the Georgias having more players than us drafted. So it's a testament. And then I know these boosters with these NIL deals, I know we just touched on that. They're not paying all this NIL money for people to go 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, 7th round.
Right.
That's not gonna cut it. I mean that you ain't talented enough for us to get to that championship game. You've seen how these draft picks drop the ball on us at the end of the year. We lost gas at the end of the year. We had us number one at one time. We lost gas within 3 weeks. 3 weeks. 3 weeks before they get into the dance. We lost 3 straight games. So that's the draft pick. That's 7 draft picks. We not where we at yet. That's why they got us what? I looked at the thing right now. For the May top 25 and ESPN, they got us number 23. Who was top? That I should let you know. And we still paying out $4 million for a quarterback. Why did Georgia keep you? Georgia ain't even counted the offer. You can have him. That's what they told us. You can have him.
I think the highlight of this show is what you're saying about Carson Beck. We backed into that one. I'll just say one more thing. That's a great overview, by the way. Damian Martinez will be interesting to see how he acclimates up in Seattle as well. And, of course, in our chat room, if Royal can work on his blocking, he'll be successful. Great overview. I have a few more things I want to get to. I just wanted to make sure that Chris had the sole word on the Canes draft, and he did awesome. A couple more easy ones to get to. We'll get through these a little quicker, and then we'll wrap it up with Shedeur Sanders. I want to make sure we get everything that we can cover within the 2-hour allotment that we have. And that says Kyle Williams' decision to play in a meaningless bowl game appealed to the Patriots and played a part in him drafting, according to Mike Reese. It's good to see a guy play in a bowl game and an organization recognize it. We don't have to spend forever on this one. But when we talk about the guys that have gotten hurt, I don't know about you, Chris, but this is a breath of fresh air. What are your thoughts? Chris?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What are your thoughts about Kyle Williams? That's a pretty good feel-good story that he was willing to play in a bowl game, despite the fact of the matter is that there were more arrests. It's a feel-good story, nonetheless.
Oh well, I'm gonna pass on this one. My thing
That's
is
okay. That's okay. No problem. And not everybody has to comment on anybody, but I want to put it out there anyway for everybody to comment on it because I think you're right. You want to get as much money as you can. This guy took a major risk, and obviously you're well aware of it, but that's okay. We can defer. All right, Darwin, your thoughts.
With him being one of the best players on the team, I think is noteworthy for sure. Because like as we all know, like it's a lot of players out there making business decisions, and I respect that too. But I respect his decision to play, and I think New England did as well, and there's been a lot of talk about the Patriot way being back in New England with Mike Vrabel being the head coach, and I think with this selection and with them mentioning how they were happy to see that he opted to play in, I think that you could see the connection there.
Great stuff. All right, Ben.
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes when you get a chance, I mean, when you got a guy like Kyron, everything you do is under the microscope, and you just hope it's appreciated, and it was. Just because I mean, I remember the days when guys were sitting out, guys like Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey. Those guys were sitting out. To have a guy who say, "Look, man, I know what I'm supposed to be, but I'm one of the lucky ones that's gonna get a chance to be drafted." My teammates. They're not. It's gonna be a lot of guys ain't gonna be in a situation like mine. So yeah, I respect what he did, and I respect it's a class act by a guy like Mike Vrabel. It's not every day that because his Patriot way is something he got to implement. But having guys like Kyron, these are the type of guys you can say, look, we need to get more guys like that. Hopefully he pans out. But I agree with Darwin. I agree with the fact that he went out there and did it his way. He got rewarded for it, which is something that is very, very rare in today's NFL.
Candy.
Kudos to him, for getting his decision to play in a game that was meaningless, but yet it shows that he still wanted to play. He has a desire to play the game and to keep furthering himself. There are a lot of players that won't play in that game because they're afraid they're going to get injured or anything like that. Kudos to him for doing that, and kudos for the Patriots taking a chance on him and seeing where he can go, if he can make the team, and what he can do. Your goal once you play is to play in the NFL. So let's just see where he goes from here.
Fair enough. Okay, Steve.
I mean, like everyone's making a big deal, like these guys that sit in and out and stuff like that. I mean, people also tend to forget that this kid played quarterback when he was in high school. You know, he went through position change and things of that nature. So he's trying to make sure that the guys at this next level know that, like, he's willing to do whatever. He's a team guy. He'll you know, he played both sides of the ball at one point in time. So he's a guy that, you know. Yeah, like he's not going to be your typical wide receiver that always wants to be targeted, always wants the ball in his hand. I mean, obviously being a quarterback at one point in time, that obviously what was his thing, where it was always in his hand. So, as you guys are saying, they want these guys that are bringing the Patriot way back to New England. So, you know, kudos to him for you know, putting everything out there, but also at the same time, like, let's also see what he can do. You know, he's still third, fourth on the depth chart. You gotta get used to that playbook and get your reps and get in there.
Okay. All I said, it's a refreshing story that he did it. I just hope he does well with the Patriots. I'll leave it at that. We'll talk about Kurtis Rourke, and then Steve and I, you know, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Our opinions will supplement them. And again, everybody else talk about it. How's that, Steve? Because we did this on the Professor and the Pupil. And with Steve and I, we like to talk about certain topics that overlap a little bit. Kurtis Rourke becomes the first Canadian-born QB raised and selected in the NFL draft since Jesse Palmer in 2001. Obviously, when you think about it, okay, the 49ers, he also played with the 49ers. He was selected by the 49ers outside of playing it with Indiana. When you think about that quarterback room, you're going to have Brock Purdy in it. You're going to have Mac Jones, Kyle Shanahan, obviously, and running the show, as well as John Lynch. What are your thoughts about the move, Chris?
Yeah, I think it's a great move. You know, that it's the thing about the way this league is set up. Our quarterback room you got to have the players in there, especially with that offense Shanahan runs. You know, that you're looking at a couple years ago when his quarterback went down. That you got to have people step up. So like we always said in the league, that next man up. And I guess he's seeing that the things that I don't know if this guy got paid yet. Did they pay this guy from San Fran yet?
No, they haven't paid. They haven't paid Brock yet.
Yeah, see what I mean? So you really don't know what's going on even with why they haven't paid this guy yet. So, you know, Shanahan, he pulling, I guess you got to look at it like his dad. His dad did a hell of a job bringing in the quarterbacks. I'm sure he's taking a page from his old man in his ear, and he's doing it the way that he want to do it, you know. And plus he got a hell of a GM over there with him. So I feel like that's the needs that they want for their team. And they're doing a great job by striking it, I feel.
Well, like Kenny says, they will lowball you. All right, Darwin.
Not much to add here. I think, you know, I know they drafted Brock Purdy in the 7th round a few years ago, about to pay him a big deal. So maybe they possibly struck gold again. So we'll see how that plays out.
Ran Trey Lance out of town, that's for sure. All right, go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's about variety. I think when you talk about a guy like Kyle Shanahan, he's always thinking about the future and the present, and he's got to make sure that his quarterback room. You got to prepare for the worst. You know, when it comes to a situation like the quarterback position, Brock Purdy, while he's about to get paid $60 million. Brock Purdy might be the 10th best player on his team. When you start talking about Trent Williams and, you know, you start talking about C-Mac and Brian Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall and Fred Warner and Trent Williams. I need my quarterback to play complimentary football. I need him to be an incredible, you know, game manager. And I need him to make the plays when I need him to make the plays. So, yeah, getting this QB that they got, they want to be able to develop while the starter is doing what he does. So, I mean, John Lynch never coached. Never did. He went straight to the GM position, and dare I say, he's really, really good at it. Now, hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, but he's been in 2 of them. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I agree with Dar. Hopefully, they struck gold with this young man, because when you get Mr. Irrelevant and Brock Purdy, and he turned into what he turned into, that's because of the culture of the team, not just him. So hopefully, the team around this young man they got now, he can help add to that quarterback room.
Candy.
So Kurtis Rourke, he started his college career in Ohio, went to Indiana. If you look at what he did on January 3rd, 2025, it was announced that he played the entire season on a torn ACL in his right knee.
Wow.
He played 12 games for the Hoosiers. This last year, he logged 3,042 passing yards, 29 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. He declared for the NFL draft, although he was eligible for the CFL draft due to being a Canadian player in the NC2A and was projected to be a top draft pick there if he wanted to go undrafted in the NFL draft. He was ranked number 2 overall in the CFL's final pre-draft ranking. He was drafted in the 7th round by the 49ers. He was in the NFL draft, and he was drafted in the 3rd round by the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the CFL draft as well.
Okay.
So kudos to him. Let's see what he can do behind Brock Purdy.
Okay, yeah. Candy says 48 to 55 million. I hope not 60. He's probably right. I think that draft choice may have brought Brock's price down a little bit. And don't forget, Mac Jones is the unknown factor there because I think he could develop as well. Steven, I'll give you a quick word on this one. Last topic of the night coming up, and Shedeur Sanders. Okay,
Ben kind of already talked about it, and availability is your biggest thing.
Right.
When you wind up having your wide receiver taking snaps at quarterback in the NFC Championship games, it makes you value that quarterback position a little bit better. So it's one of these things. We'll see if Rourke does make the roster, as we were talking about last night. That might be a little bit of an insurance policy just in case Mr. Purdy wants to be closer to that $60 million range that we all know now. The San Francisco is having money issues about paying guys and things of that nature. We've already seen it over the last few years with Debo and Brandon Ayuk last year and things of that nature. So it's nice to have guys that you feel is good for your system and where you're not overpaying for your veterans and things of that nature. Like we said, Brock's right up against it, getting ready to get his big payday. We'll see if it's closer to a normal range, that Daniel Jones range, because he's not a top 10 quarterback. I know some people like to throw him in there, but Brock Purdy probably fell into the best situation he probably could ever have, and he's ran with it so far. I'm not going to take that away from him, but he's not a $60 million quarterback.
All right, well, final topic of the night. I'm not going to say a lot on it. I said a lot yesterday. Shedeur Sanders' lowest contract, if he was drafted in the top 3, would have been $45 million. His value is high. His second round would have been $11 million. I truly believe, and this will be my opinion on it, I'm going to defer to everybody else, is he sandbagged his way to the 5th round with Cleveland. Now he's getting pennies on the dollar. I always say you got him at the dollar store as far as I'm concerned. For the Browns, the NIL in 2024 was $6.5 million. His NFL salary is $4.6 million, an average of $1.16 million. I think the funniest statement that I heard last week was, as Steve mentioned, that the Toronto Argonauts have an option on him if they want to send him up there, and they can have a nice old star-studded group in Canada along with Pedro Guerrero Jr. with the Toronto Blue Jays. So as far as I'm concerned, Shedeur Sanders, anytime you get a Sanders in their draft, they're bound to mess it up anyways. And I don't even know if he'll even make the team. We'll see. That's all I have to say on it. I'm going to defer to everybody else. Chris, give me a good few minutes out of this one, and we'll go around the horn as we get ready to wrap up the show. Go ahead, Chris. What's your thoughts about Shedeur?
I'll be so shocked if he don't make the team. Look at this guy, followers. I don't understand the limelight that comes with it, the scrutiny that comes with him and all of that, but it's not. But the kid just needed like I'm one of those big believers. He put his head down that he's going there with the right reasons right now. At least he's showing that he's trying. That right. I think he went to go visit a school. He's doing the little things that whoever's his PR person, he's doing a good job of doing that. That one thing I know, his agent, that he's from the U, his agent, Robert Bailey. So That's a great thing that he that's a good mentor that he can be having, because Robert is a clean cut guy, and I always respect the Robert Bailey. So hopefully that Shedeur that I'm pretty sure that this guy, they want that. I love the buzz for Cleveland right now. Hey, you see that Deshaun Watson probably gonna be down with the Achilles still. How tough that gonna probably be for him to come back on. And then, hey, what's wrong with kicking the tires? And I know that young man, his father, gonna pretty much guide him and make sure to let him know at least he knows how to come in and be a pro. Who else he can ask better or learn how to be a pro than asking your own father? And that's my take.
Great take, as you had all night. Thanks a lot, Chris. You've been awesome tonight. And I talk about one of the best guests I've ever had on the show. You definitely rank up there for what you've done today. I'm so proud of you, Chris. Thanks a lot, pal. All night for great work. All right, Darwin.
Yeah. So with Shedeur, I think he landed in a great situation in Cleveland. Even though it's a deep room, I think his only competition this season would be Joe Flacco. And at any point, he could be a starter this season. Probably not out the gate, but the opportunity is there. Lost a lot of money for sure. Still had a extra year to play. Didn't get drafted where he envisioned, where he thought he would be picked. Things happen. But I think situations like this, if you think you're going to be a top 5 pick and you get drafted in the 5th round, I think that gives you a lot of motivation. And with certain athletes, like if you can't give certain athletes or people bulletin board like things. And I think if he's the athlete that he thinks, if he's the athlete that he thinks he is, and that the world thinks he is, then I think that this is going to be a great opportunity in disguise for him.
One of the biggest takeaways I'm going to get out of this show, and I credit Chris and Ben, especially Chris, is the Carson Beck thing. I really do. Thanks for making light of that situation, Chris. I really appreciate it, because that's something that when I've thought about all year as I get ready to cover games later this fall, I wondered myself, and because of the fact that you validated a lot, at $4 million, what am I getting besides the drama? Will this guy be worth the money that they're putting in, and the Chargers give it away? And to hear it come from someone like you, Chris, really makes it easier, so I don't have to talk about it later. And I don't think there's another hurricane source that will give me a better take on it than you. Thanks a lot, Chris. That was really great stuff. All right, we'll turn over to Ben and talk about Shedeur. Great stuff, Chris. And again, like I said, everything you've done is great. No problem. Even though my thumb's all busted up, and we'll find out if I need an operation on Thursday. Go ahead, Ben.
I think it's going to be a great comeback story. I think the thing about Shedeur Sanders is always going to be most puzzling is you never heard nothing from him. Shedeur Sanders did it at 2 schools, did it at Jackson State, did it at Colorado. Yes, his dad makes it so that he got access like we never seen, right? Yes, he's flashy, but he can play football too. And I think the thing about Shedeur Sanders was he just misplayed the pre-draft process. A lot of players do. But it's like this. What if Shedeur Sanders, right? What if Shedeur Sanders would have grabbed his crotch while he's looking at, the opposing team? Or what if he would have got caught with a DUI and running from the police? He wouldn't. Baker Mayfield did all that stuff with number 1. So sometimes it ain't about what you did or didn't do. Sometimes the NFL either like you or don't, fall in love with you or not. But here's the thing. He won at Jackson State. He won at Colorado. If this youngin starts winning in Cleveland, what they going to say? Because the thing about Cleveland is Cleveland ain't never had a winner. Cleveland ain't never. That's where quarterbacks go to die, and whether they get drafted there or not. So I know they got Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. Then they get Shedeur in the 5th. Joe Flacco, like we said, though, I think it's going to be Joe Flacco the starter, maybe Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders number 3, number 1, 2, and 3. Let me tell you something. Cleveland fans want Shedeur to play. He gonna put him in the seats. And he gonna sell tickets, memorabilia, hot dogs, beer, whatever you want to call it.
That is true.
If Shedeur Sanders is as good as he's been, because he's a consistent winner. That's the one thing about him. He's a consistent winner. But I'm gonna say this: he's Deion Sanders' son.
Right.
Like people be like, "What?" Deion Sanders is about as charismatic as it get. You don't think they're gonna wait? You don't think they're gonna flow through his sons? Not just his sons. Shiloh, Shedeur, Deion Sanders Jr. Sometimes, right? Let's just call it what it is. Confidence ain't for everybody. And some people don't like certain people who confident, right? But Shedeur, he's been humbled a little bit, but I like the way he handled it. He didn't run away from it. I did see what he did, Chris, by going to that high school. The young man understands that my brand sells, right? I'm the first Sanders to get drafted that played quarterback. My brother went to Tampa Bay as a free agent, but I hope the best for Shedeur Sanders because say what you want. I don't know what number he's going to wear because I think Dylan Gabriel asked for the number 2, so he's not wearing number 2. Whatever jersey Shedeur Sanders wear, watch them Cleveland stands. They
Well,
gonna be,
It's number 12 now. It's 12.
Okay, so number 12. Okay, so he number 1 and number 2. He want 1 and 2. I'm number 1 and number 2. Put them together. I think that youngin. I think the thing about Shedeur Sanders is this: if you don't like what he did in the pre-draft process, ask yourself this: you don't know what he did. You don't know what he said. It's all speculation. But the same people that's rooting against him, right? If he starts winning, which I hope he does, I'm gonna see what they're gonna say. But yeah, I mean, he got drafted. I don't know many fifth rounders that's showing up to high schools and people know who they are. Shedeur Sanders can go anywhere in the country and people know him. So it's Cleveland. He's gonna have to get. I mean, I don't know what's cold out of Cleveland and Boulder, Colorado. They both get real cold, but I am rooting for that young man. I just think that some of the pre-draft criticism of him was unwarranted because I tell people this all the time. Just because somebody says something about it don't make it true. It don't make it untrue, but don't make it true either. He went in the 5th round. He's the most, he's the most heralded 5th round that ever get drafted. Obviously, Tom Brady is the greatest one. I think he went in the 5th round. And I just think that, hey man, we just got to wait and see. But to everybody that's listening, if Shedeur Sanders starts winning in Cleveland, because there's a team in Pennsylvania that's still looking for a quarterback. And they wanted to be Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers decides to retire and you had a chance to get Shedeur Sanders 2 or 3 times and you didn't get him, Mike Tomlin, I'm telling you, you've never had a losing season since you've been in the National Football League, and you're going to bet your farm on a dude named Aaron? We're going to see. I hope it works out.
Great take, man. You guys are unbelievable. What an entertainment tonight. All right, Candy. Bear in mind we got like 15 minutes to go, Candy, and Steve will wrap it up. All I'll just say is Shiloh Sanders signed with the Bucks, and Drew Rosenhaus is arguably one of the best agents out there. That just shows you exactly what the Sanders are getting smarter. And yes, he will put rear ends in the seats, just like Tim Tebow would have put rear ends in the seats had Jacksonville have taken him. That would be for another topic. I just wanted to get that in there. My buddy Dan Edwards up in Jacksonville was impressed with that take when I put it in there because he knew I was right and we were different. So, all right, Candy, go ahead, followed by Steve, and then we wrap it up.
So, yes, he slid to the 5th round. Do we know all of the particulars why? No. Does it matter? No. He's going to make it up. Already, he has the number 1 selling jersey of all draftees. So he's already going to make it up. He's got the name for it. He's going to get endorsement deals. He's going to get a lot of other things. What a story if he brings winning back to Cleveland. What a story. Then we'll all be talking about like what, why did he slide? We all weren't in those interview rooms. We all weren't part of the why should we get him now? Should we not? Is he going to fit? What does he bring with him? Does he, is his dad going to be part of the package? Is the media going to be covering and being part of the big package? All I'm going to say is one of the things that he did before is he looked up to a mentor and he worked with Tom Brady. For him to reach out and work with somebody of the nature and stature of Tom Brady, he's got something right in the head. He knows what he's doing, and I think he'll have success. I don't know if it'll be in Cleveland or then wherever he eventually lands, but I can see him having success.
We'll see how it plays out. I'll tell you one thing: if he plays in Cleveland and he wins, he's on house money, and he will fill that place easily. I've been to Cleveland. Cleveland's a really good sports town, and if he wins there, he may be as big as LeBron James when you think about it in its totality. Because the Browns haven't won anything and had a great, rich history dating back to Jim Brown. All right, Stephen Reichel, you have the final word on this.
Well, I mean, listen, everyone had some great points on it. Obviously, from what I'm hearing is Cleveland owners were the one forcing this pick upon Kevin Stefanski. I don't know if anyone's seen them when the pick was made. They look like somebody had poured some sour milk into their coffee or something, because they didn't look happy. I'll say that much. But regardless, as Chris had already mentioned, Shedeur's doing everything right now. He went. He's already in Cleveland, putting in the work. Already went to go visit some school. Making connection with some of these kids in the area. Having conversation with them, stuff like that. So he's already doing the right thing in that way. So regardless of what he did wrong with the draft process, what his team did wrong, he's there in Cleveland. Regardless if that's where they wanted to be or not, he's in a situation where the Cleveland's been looking for that franchise quarterback for the better part of what. Bernie Kosar's the last big one they had, right?
Right.
I mean, he's the last one that gave them playoff wins. I think in forever. And this is a team that they've been moved, they've been brought back. This franchise has been tortured and things of that nature. If this is the guy that does it, it's going to make for a great story for that's for certain. It's one of these things where, we can nitpick at this and say this is the reason why that and whatever, regardless if the owner did force this pick upon them, obviously with them drafting a quarterback ahead of Stefanski and them weren't planning on it, but it seems like that's what kind of happened. So hopefully, like I said, he makes the best of it. He gets in there, learns that playbook, and as we were talking about with Ben on our show with Luther, give them a reason to keep you there. Don't let old man Joe just walk in and take that job and thinking that he's going to do things. Give Kenny Pickett a hard time. Give that kid who was drafted ahead of you headaches. Make him be laying in his bed at night having cold sweats, because what is Shedeur going to do? If he's already got a good handle on what he's doing, he's doing things the right way in other areas where like we said, everyone's not going to be perfect at this. Even though his dad is Deion Sanders, he's already been through this, that, and the third. We're all humans. We all make mistakes. It's how you come back, and when you actually have your opportunity to show who you are, you show not just who your character is, but who Shedeur Sanders, the football player, is. I think when everything's said and done, Cleveland's going to be happy with this, and this is all going to be a forgotten thing in a matter of months. But we'll see how that all plays out. Hopefully, number 12 does his thing up there in Cleveland.
Well, the bottom line is the Browns have a surplus of quarterbacks, so no matter what happens, if they trade one of them, they're going to get something back in return. Great show by everybody tonight. Chris Jones, I can't praise you enough for what you've done tonight, and I look forward to you being on more of these shows, and more importantly, I look forward to us getting together in person as well. I mean, it's just a natural having you on this show with us. Chris, your contributions have nothing short of outstanding. I'm looking forward to working with you in the future. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate being with the team tonight.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and give Candy an opportunity to do a station break really quickly, and then we'll let everybody know how to get a hold of themselves. And what a show. I also want a special thanks for everybody in the chat room. Candy was outstanding as usual. We have been spent a little time in here. We have Candy, we have Eddie Prather was in here. We have a lot of good regulars that come on here. One of them talked about Jerry Rice had a lot of trouble learning the playbook too. That's a good point. And we all know how that turned out as well. So good point. Just getting to those. So I want to thank everybody's contribution. We try to get to as many comments as we can, but when you have these great group of people here, Candy, to compliment with us, other 5, to me, it's a dream team as far as I'm concerned. I'm proud of every one of you that contributed. I really am, from the bottom of my heart, top of my heart, whatever I have up in my head. So go figure. Prayers and all that. But Candy Ambling, final station break. Everybody will have an opportunity to go ahead and get a hold of themselves. And I hope for Darwin Kelly, next time you ask me how long a show goes, it goes when we finish. And then I hope one thing, Mr. Kelly, you take from this, you learned an awful lot, so you keep that LinkedIn page and you share the daylights out of this show. Fair enough, Mr. Kelly. Candy, we go to you.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Talks about Scott's 40-plus years in the industry and how it has changed and evolved. Go get your copy today. As far as our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Go check it out. There's a plethora of great content. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise, call Scott 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest on a show or have show ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. I'm going to do one last plug. If you like to listen to females talking sports, preceding this show tonight was 3 Chicks in a Pod on the Chicks podcast, and I am one of the chicks. So if you like to listen to Chicks Talking Sports, Tuesday nights, 7:30, Chicks podcast. Okay, Scott?
I just want to say a special thanks to Carter Toole and Cameron Gorby, two of the finest communications people to work with. Somehow, some way, we got to get this show to them, because we just added a little bit more fuel to the Gators and the Miami rivalry. And with Ben and Chris in here, that just makes it even more interesting. Later on, I'm sure I'll have these guys hopefully on a few more times as we get close to the rivalry. So thanks again, Carter and Cameron. You're two of the best. Somehow, some way, we'll try to get you the show if we can possibly do it. All right, with that said, Ben, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you, my friend.
Oh, man, at bentroop84.com on all social media outlets. Just keep watching, man. I mean, South Florida Tribune, the Fan in the End, 84 Reasons, No Wetters in the Fall and winning the division. Soon to be the Ben Troop podcast. But, hey, as long as you guys allow me on here, man, I'm going to keep on coming on here talking trash. And like I said, Chris, when it get time to game time, if the game starts getting out of hand in y'all favor, you're gonna have to talk to my cell phone provider. Something gonna be going wrong with my cell phone. It ain't working right. That's what usually happens when we lose. I'll be like, you might hear me going, "Hello, you're breaking up. I can't hear you." No, man, it's always a pleasure being on with you, man. Darwin, man, it was great being on with you too, sir, man. I hope I get a chance to see you again, Steve, Scott, and obviously, the Rolls Royce, of I've never heard that term in my life. It's the greatest term ever. It's always fun being on with y'all, man. Enjoy y'all night, man. Thanks for having me.
Let me tell you something, Ben. You're on here for good. We're not letting you go anywhere, pal. Don't you have a book? Why don't you mention it, please?
Oh, yeah. My book, Uncommon Unfinished, The Ben Troop Store with BJ Bennett. I mean, it's everywhere books are sold. I mean, I think it's a great book about my life. I mean, I appreciate BJ Bennett writing it for me. One of my best friends in the world. It just, listen, man, I mean, the people, places, and things that help me do what I currently do what I used to do, and hopefully do what I'm going to do in the future. It's a chance for me to say thank you to my parents, to my children, to my niece and nephews. There are people in my book who didn't have stars next to their name. So it's people in my book that I played against. Go get it. I mean, I believe all of us are uncommon, unfinished. It's a book title that I think there's something that goes with our lives. Go check it out. Hopefully you guys enjoy the read.
And by the way, you got a new president coming from Michigan named Santa Ona. He's leaving Ann Arbor to go to Gainesville. I guess he's sick and tired of the state tax and the cold weather, and the Jim Harbaugh controversy probably got a little bit older too. So I'll just leave it at that. All right, go ahead, Darwin, real quick, how they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. First, I want to thank you, Scott, and everybody. This was a great time, great conversations. Look forward to more. If you want to find me, you can find me at Darwin Kelly, DARWYN, last name Kelly, KELLY. I'm on LinkedIn. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, on everything, on all platforms. Anything NIL related, I'm the guy.
There you go. All right, Chris. What do you got? How can you get a hold of you?
Oh, you can get a hold of me on LinkedIn, Chris T. Jones 82. Instagram, Chris T. Jones 82. I'm easy to be found, and I just want to just tell you guys, Darren, it was nice meeting you too. You, Miss Candy, and I'm just happy to be a part of the show tonight, and I really appreciate it, and hopefully you guys let me tag along sometimes.
Oh, you tag along anytime you want. I already sent you a request on Instagram. I'll look for you on LinkedIn. Great stuff. All right, Steve, real quick. Candy wraps it up with a station break. So there you go.
All right. Well, yeah. Again, everyone, you can follow me. Facebook, Instagram, X. Just type my name in there. Should be pretty easy to find. My @ handles right underneath my name here. That's Steve Sports Talk 1. Obviously, you can find me here on the South Florida Tribune Media Network. Basically, Monday through Wednesday between the professor and the pupil here on Inside the Pigskin. Typically Wednesday mornings, I'm on with Ben for the Fan in the End. This week, we're actually going to have to kick it back to the afternoon, and we're going to be joined by former Sixer, former Laker, Mr. Jermaine Jones is going to be joining us, so that should be a fun one. This week, I got a whole bunch of stuff lined up for you. We're going to be talking to number one title challenger for the 140-pound title. Helen Peralta is going to be joining me Sunday evening. I'm going to be joined by current two-time defending karate combat champion and UFC veteran Sam Alvey will also be joining me Saturday, as well as Zach Hughes, who will be fighting in BKFC's Ice Wars. So I'm going to have a pretty interesting weekend here on the Florida Sports Tribune Media Network. We're going to continue to do things. Obviously, Chris is joining us. We have Ben on the program. We're going to continue to have fun here on the airwaves.
All right, Chris, Andy. Chris, you're under a Green Tree Consulting Firm. Is that correct?
Excuse me?
Green Tree Consulting Firm on LinkedIn?
Yes.
Okay. I sent you to connect Candy real quick with the book, and then we're done.
Book one last time. Lessons from the Microphone, tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the media business and how it has changed and evolved. Old school media versus new school media. Available Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. Also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Go get your copy today. You can see a young Scott with a young Muhammad Ali. Plus, he's got a plethora of great content and great stories. You know, he tells stories tonight. He tells more stories in that book. Go get your copy today.
All right. Also, you can find me on Twitter /X Tribune South as well. Chris, I've already sent you requests on Instagram and LinkedIn, so I'll let you look them up later. But meanwhile, on behalf of Ben Troop, C. Reichel, Candy, the Rolls Royce, Darwin Kelly, and last but not least, my fellow Chris T. Jones, who will threaten anybody else for an analyst job because he's that good. But thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Inside the Pigskin. And Chris T. Jones, all I'm going to say is you have an invite to come out anytime you want, because I'll tell you, as Vic Vitale would say, you're awesome, baby. Had a little bit
I appreciate it, man.
You are. I'll put you in the same. And that's really, seriously, really? Yeah, you're awesome, baby. Anytime you want. Look forward to doing more shows with you. You're great.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, this is just beginning for you and I, Chris. It's just unbelievable. And your first act was A1. Okay. So with that said, we appreciate everybody for joining us. See you next week on Inside the Pigskin. Have a great week, everybody. Bye now.
Bye.